Imagine if you could transform your body into peak physical condition in just 16 weeks. Well, in this video, I'm going to give you the exact roadmap to do this using the executive gains framework. And I've helped countless men to do this, to achieve their peak physique, to attain peak physical condition in just 16 weeks or less. And my name is Dr. Cody Crockett. I'm a PT, DPT. I help men to optimize their hormones, build an aesthetic body, and to achieve peak performance in all areas of life. And in this video, I'm going to walk you through the framework, the exact step-by-step roadmap to achieve your peak physique and do this in record time. And we're going to jump right into this. Now, in phase number 1, this step is crucial because we need to identify and evaluate where you currently are. Doing an audit, an assessment of your current state. What's your physique look like? What's your composition like? What's your body chemistry like? What's your genetic makeup? When we go through this first step, this tells us all of this data, which we're going to use in all of the following steps. So if we look at phase 1 here, when we evaluate, we're looking at what your posture is. You're assessing, do you have any mechanical deficiencies? Are you able to do movement patterns pain-free with full ranges of motion? Do you have any limitations? Are you nursing any injuries? Do you have any pain points that you want to be aware of? When you go through this process, this identifies what your physical limitations are and what needs to be improved. We're looking at muscle imbalances between the right and the left side. Are you dominant in a certain muscle group and weak in another group? We're also looking at asymmetries between the right and the left, the upper and the lower. Are there imbalances and asymmetries that need to be addressed before we can move forward? We're also looking at your body composition. What's your body fat percentage? What's your muscle mass percentage? And even what's your bone mineral density? Within the executive gains offer, I include a DEXA scan because I see this as critical, and this gives us a baseline of where you currently are so we know what we're dealing with. We're also identifying what your blood chemistry is like, understanding what your current chemical composition is. What's your hormones looking like? Are you deficient or sufficient in any nutrients, vitamins, minerals? If you're lacking in any of these areas, this is going to have downstream effects on your hormones, testosterone, growth hormone, neurotransmitters. So understanding not only what your physical composition is, but also what your chemical composition is. And then also looking at what's your genetic composition. Where are your genetics from? Me, for example, my genes are from a certain part of the world, and I know that I respond best to eating more meats and fats. Where if somebody that has genetics from more of an equatorial region, more from the equator, the tropics, they may need to get more fruits, be more responsive to different types of food. You also want to understand any genetic polymorphisms that you may have. Say, for example, somebody that may have a genetic polymorphism, a mutation of the MTHFR gene, may tell this person that they need to consume vitamins that are methylated because their body processes things slightly different. And in order to get these vitamins into their body and to get them in sufficient dosages, they need to take vitamins that are methylated, like methylated B12, methylated folate. These are all things that we learn through genetic testing by assessing what the genetic makeup is. So understanding this process, this phase 1 of collecting data, gathering information, this gives us all of the data that we need to create a custom curated, highly personalized plan. The final part of this first phase here is to choose and write a SMART goal. So writing a goal that is, say, specific, it's measurable, it's attainable, realistic, and timely. That's what a SMART goal is. It's an acronym. So when you write a goal this way, it's very specific. It's based off of something that's realistic, it's measurable, and it's within a certain period of time. For example, I may have the goal to gain 12 pounds of muscle over the next 16 weeks. Or somebody may have the goal to lose 20 pounds of body fat within the next 16 weeks. These are goals that are tangible, they're measurable, and they're based off a certain period of time. Writing goals this way is way more effective than just saying, well, I want to look better, I want to feel better, I want to have more energy, I want to feel better, and I just want to lose weight, lose fat and tone up, whatever it may be. Well, This is not serious. This is way too casual, nonchalant. They're not actually serious about wanting to do what it takes to get there. Guys that are serious are going to write smarkles. And if you are the type of guy that is serious, that wants to get results fast and get my support, you can check out this video up here where I go into depth about what the Executive Gains offer includes. You can check that out if you want to learn more about how to work with me in Executive Gains. So once we've done phase 1, we then take this data, this information that we've collected, and then we can start to build your foundation, where we get into phase 2. And in this phase 2 of building your foundation, this is where we start to fix some of the issues that we identified in phase 1. So if you have, say, forward head posture, your head is rounded, shoulders are rounded forward, thoracic kyphosis, well, this is where we're going to start to fix your posture. You're going to be doing corrective exercises. You're going to be focusing on normalizing your movement patterns, freeing up any mobility restrictions that you may have identified in this first phase. You're also going to begin to do cardio conditioning, priming your cardiovascular and your cardiorespiratory system for activity, helping you to get a baseline level of cardio conditioning so that you can tolerate what's ahead. Because this is a whole progression. This is a whole ramping up process where we're going from phase 1 to phase 7 of achieving your peak physique. So by laying the foundation, by building a baseline level of posture, strength, mobility, coordination, cardio, this then allows us to build off of this and move forward with momentum. And in this phase, you're starting to build just a base with barbell movements. So understanding what are the functional movement patterns, what's a hip hinge, what's a squat, what's a bent over row, what's a press. Beginning to build a base with the basic barbell movements is part of this phase. And then you're also going to want to start to take small actions to build momentum with positive habits. This is nothing too crazy. Again, we're taking small steps forward. These small steps build momentum, and then we tap into the compound effect. So just in this phase 2, just beginning with these small actions. And for these habits of be aware of how much protein you're eating. Be aware of your calories. What are you consuming? What are you currently eating? So just increasing your awareness of where you currently are. This starts to build momentum. And then finally, hydration. So being aware, are you staying hydrated? Are you getting at least a gallon of water a day? Building up some momentum with these basic habits that we can then carry forward once we've built up this foundation. So from here, once we built the foundation, this is where you're going to shift into phase 3. And this is the phase where you're really going to start to notice muscle mass increasing. And you initiate your mass maximization plan. You're going to notice your muscles are going to feel fuller. You're going to feel more pumped up. You're going to feel muscles grow, get bigger. It's in this phase that you begin by progressing with your corrective exercises. So the exercises that you did in phase 2, correcting your mobility, this is where you start to ramp these up with more of a periodized program for strength and hypertrophy. This is a way that you can lay on slabs of muscle meat while also correcting muscle imbalances. Using corrective exercises to build strength, hypertrophy is a powerful way that not only you can fix muscle imbalances, but then you can prevent them from occurring later on in life. So in this phase, you're ramping up correctives and compounds. So we're beginning to do more compound movements, multi-joint movements, presses, deadlifts, these functional mass movers that are going to build up strength, mass, and you're doing this in more of a moderate volume. So you're still using corrective exercises. This is an ongoing process, but it's in this phase of phase 3 where you're starting to pack on muscle. This programming is more periodized towards strength and hypertrophy. You're going to be doing more of a moderate plus volume depending on what you can tolerate. Depending on your current condition, when you began, this is all determined within the phase 1. Each person's a little different. Some of you may be doing more of a moderate volume. Some may be more moderate plus to high volume at this point. You then move into phase 4. And in phase 4, this is where you're tracking and optimizing what you're doing. So if we dive deeper into what we're tracking, this is where you're tracking your workouts. You're tracking, do you feel the working muscle? Say, if you're targeting your pecs, you're targeting your chest, do you feel your chest during exercise? Are you getting a muscle pump during your workout? Are you feeling sore in the chest after your workout? These are all critical things that you want to track to be sure that your exercises, your exercise selection, the programming, all of this is effective. If you're targeting the chest, but you're doing a press, you don't feel the chest working. Well, if you don't feel the chest working, you don't feel a muscle pump, and your chest isn't sore, well, this tells you that this is an ineffective exercise. The way that you're doing it, the way it's programmed, you're not going to see results. In order to see results with your exercises, you want to feel the target muscle, you want to get a pump in that muscle, and then you want to get sore in that muscle. And you can measure this. The clients that I work with, we have scales, ways that we track this. This is all important to tell, is your workout actually effective? Are you going to see results that you're actually seeking? This is all important because what we track gets changed. If you're not tracking anything, then it's very unlikely that you're going to see the results that you're looking for. Over time, you may slowly see results, but again, if you're serious, you want to track these things because what gets tracked gets changed. You're also tracking your recovery. I like to use an Oura ring for this. All the men within the Executive Gains program, everyone gets an Oura ring. This is an awesome tool. So much powerful data can be collected from this. Seeing heart rate variability, oxygen saturation, seeing what your sleep phases are, seeing what your recovery is like. And even the more recent models are actually tracking VO2 max. So really cool tool, gives us a lot of powerful data because we want to have everything dialed in. You want to track the right things. So by tracking the right things, this can make sure that you're on track, that you're on pace to getting the results within the time frame established. So we're tracking not only your workouts, your pump, your soreness, you're tracking your recovery using the Oura ring, also tracking your protein, calories, and hydration at this point. And with this comes tracking your body weight. So if you have the goal to gain a certain amount of weight or to lose a certain amount of weight, but you're not tracking this, well, if you're not tracking something, you don't have the awareness, you're not giving it the attention, it's very unlikely that you're actually going to see things change. Then we move into phase 5. And this builds off of phase 4 in that we're building accountability. And when it comes to accountability, I like to think of it like 3 ways. So we have self-accountability when you're tracking. If you have a tracker sheet, if you're using a journal, that's self-accountability. There's also the accountability of a coach. If we're working together, I'm going to hold you accountable. I'm going to help to keep you on track, and you're going to send me reports to help make sure that you're on pace and that you're getting the right things done. And then there's also the accountability of your community, of your tribe, of the other like-minded men that are also on the journey to achieving their peak physique. Having a community, a tribe where you can interact with, also having a little bit of friendly competition, all of this helps you to not only stay accountable, but it's going to push you, it's going to motivate you. And this brings you to phase 6, where you're continually making improvements. You want to constantly be aware of what's working, what's not working. Are you seeing progress? We constantly want to revise and reevaluate where you are. This is an ongoing process throughout the whole journey of, are your workouts working? Is your nutrition working? Are we seeing the metrics move in the right way? And if not, then we constantly want to be changing this. And this is the power of doing reassessments, of revising and then recalibrating what's actually happening. What's happening with your workouts? Are certain exercises not working and we need to change them? 6 days a week of training with your current schedule is just too much. Well, then maybe we need to switch to more of a 5-day-a-week split. And this takes revamping your workout, consolidating, or if you're finding that certain exercises aren't working or certain muscle groups aren't growing the way at the right pace that you want them to, or you're not feeling certain muscles. This is all continually being reassessed, revised, and recalibrated. And you can do this with your accountability, checking in with yourself or checking in with your coach. These are all discussion points that when you objectively measure what's happening with certain muscle groups, with your goal. If you find that something's lagging, something is not working, we want to continually revise, recalibrate, and then modify this. And this is all within this whole program. This is constantly happening. But as you get further into the program, you're going to at some point want to do a reassessment to determine where you currently are. Are you on pace to hit your goal at the 16-week period? Are you seeing that, hey, I'm a little behind, off track of where I need to be at this point? In order for me to get this goal, I need to really crank it up and hit the next couple weeks hard. This is the power of doing reassessments, reevaluations, to constantly refine where you're at. This then allows you to then divert, redirect, change course if necessary. And at this phase within the program, you're going to be doing more of a higher volume training, because from start to finish, you start from more of a low volume here in phase 2 with corrective exercises, cardio, conditioning, postural retraining. That's more of a low volume. Then you're progressing into more moderate volume when you get into the strength, hypertrophy, mass maximization, and this progresses moderate plus, and then we're getting more into high volume training at this point, depending on what you tolerate, what you're responding to, your recovery, etc. So at this process, you're really close to the goal. You've made a lot of progress. You've changed your posture, the way you stand, the way you move, your energy, the way that people see you. You've changed your physique. You probably gained more muscle mass. You probably lost some fat. And it's at this phase that you're getting really close to the finish line. You've reassessed where you're at. You've recalibrated, redirected. You're making those final tweaks over these last couple weeks so that you can hit this goal, which finally brings you to phase 7, which is achieving your peak performance, achieving your peak physique. At this phase, you've attained your SMART goal. You've achieved your peak physique. And at this point, this is where you want to determine what's the next step. Do you have a maintenance program to follow in order to sustain these goals, to be able to integrate all the progress that you've made? This is where you, again, want to reassess and determine at the end of this 16-week phase, I've achieved the physique. What am I going to do moving forward in order to solidify and integrate these gains long term? And guys, this is exactly what I help men do: transform their bodies, achieve their peak physique, and to do this in record time. If you want to get my support, get my help doing this, learn more about the Executive Gains program in this video up here.